Hey, Dooberteers, welcome back to the show. My guest today is someone who I think you're really going to like because he's probably even more passionate about cats than I am. He's been somebody that's been involved with rescuing, saving, loving cats, right, Chris, for more than 30 years at this point.
Mhm.
So I think you're going to find this interview very interesting. So, Chris, welcome to the program.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I'm super glad to have you as well. And I want you to start us off. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing now.
I'm luckily nearing retirement, and my wife has already told me that I'm obviously going to be busier in retirement than I was, even though I work a high performance, high stress job, because I'm going to divide my time between one of our local rescue groups that I'm part of, which is Chatham Animal Rescue and Education. And I also volunteer and on the board of the Carolina Tiger Rescue, which is here also. So
Cool.
it's an incidental cat theme. Just some of them are bigger than others.
Right? I mean, they're all still cats technically, right? They're all
They're,
somewhat related.
they are, and if you're ever in this area, I'll be happy to take you on a tour, and you'll find these big cats. They do a lot of the same things that your household cats do, just on a much bigger scale.
Right. You probably don't want them coming and, laying on your chest and trying to cuddle with you.
No, you don't want them to play with you. You don't want them to chase you. It's not gonna
Big
go
old
well.
balls on a string that I'm dangling in front of them. All right, I got it.
No.
Okay. So tell us about your work at Chatham. I mean, what is the community like for animals in Chatham, North Carolina?
So Chatham County is actually has the distinction, I guess I'll say, of being one of the fastest growing counties in the United States. Um, so we're close to Duke University, UNC Chapel Hill, NC State, the Research Triangle, and those have just been booming. And Chatham is predominantly, still barely, a rural county, but there are developments that will add probably. So we sit right now with a population of about 40,000 people. There are developments that will increase that by like 2.5 times as much in the next 10 years or less.
Wow.
And so there's a real need in Chatham County for people to do something about homeless pets because all that growth drives some unfortunate side effects. We're seeing a lot more people losing their housing because they can no longer afford it. I mean, the price of a house here is more than doubled in the last 10 years, but probably more like like 5 years.
Yeah.
Lots of houses being built, but they're high six-figure to low seven-figure houses. So a lot of folks that really love and care about cats don't necessarily have a lot of money. And so they may find themselves unhoused. They try to go someplace else. They're going to rent an apartment now. Well, apartment people can be much more picky, so they don't want pets. So we're trying to kind of take a multifold approach. And really, I'm going to put a plug in here. I've just got through literally this morning finishing an 8-week course with Stacy LeBaron on community cat program management. And the idea is we can help with homeless pets because the real problem is their cats especially, they reproduce like crazy. So if you do trap, neuter, release for the cats that are I'm not going to say they're homeless. I did use that phrase, but we call them community cats because it depends upon the circumstances. If you track a cat that is a community cat, doesn't have an owner specifically, you may find they have two, three, four, five owners.
Right, right.
People would care about them, feed them, will take care of them. But if somebody doesn't fix them, if somebody doesn't take responsibility, that one female cat, she can have 5 or 6 kittens. They're not all going to make it, but over time, I'm dealing with a colony now that has well over 30 cats, and it's just because someone cared about some cats. They didn't have the money, the resources, or the knowledge, and now they got 30, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?" It's like, well, first, let's get the ones you've got to stop reproducing.
Yeah.
Um, and then we have to take it a step further because I did not know this until I took this course. The biggest problem are owned cats that aren't fixed because when I first started doing this, you could do it even just 5 years ago. In Nye County, I could get a spay or a neuter for maybe 200, $300. It's 6, 8, $900. And if you're talking about like the West Coast or the East Coast,
Yeah.
West Coast is like it can be $4,000 to get a spay. But people can't afford that. So we provide services. Chatham Animal Rescue and Education Care provides vouchers. So we work out deals with vets. And we also have a couple of mobile clinics that come. So people can get a cat spayed for $50, a young cat spayed. We also do dogs and also kittens for $25. And if you have 30 cats, we're not going to charge you $1,500 to get that done. We may charge you nothing, depending upon your ability to pay. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, the overpopulation problem, as you know, I mean, the only way to get out of this is to stop it from becoming worse. And, there's this thing for people that are not aware called the vacuum effect, right? If you come in and people say, well, just, get the cats out of there. Well, you can take the 30 cats out of there, and guess what? 30 more are going to eventually move in because those resources are now available, right? They don't have to compete for resources. And
there's proof for that. It's like we can say this. One of the things that I've been doing is I want to start a community cat program, and it's going to take money. It's going to take vet access, and that's not easy. I mean, we have a real vet shortage. I'm sure that's no secret to you. And unfortunately, we have 5 vet practices in my county. 3 of them are now owned by corporations who aren't so cooperative with helping do low-cost TNR. So we're going to have to find ways to our local animal shelter run by the sheriff. Just got a brand new one. They're really forward thinking. They have a surgical suite, but they don't have vets to run it.
yeah,
But if we get the right funding and the idea is to have a program in place. So I can guarantee you, I'm making this up, I can bring you 30 cats a week. So, and then I can get a grant and endorse some money from the county and work out something. And you get per diem vets and per diem vet techs who come and they can use that surgical suite. And because that's the biggest problem is, well, if you do have vets, you got to have some place to do it too. Because some of the vets that aren't able to do it in their corporate practice, I believe from conversations, would be happy to do it on a Saturday or a Sunday when they're not at work. So.
right.
So I've got this big project, and what's really important is that I keep saying I am kind of being the starter for it. I don't like the spark. It's a group effort. I mean, when Stacy has laid out what you got to have to do, I'm like, well, that's like a literal paid full-time job for at least 4 people.
Right.
And we don't have any paid people. So I got to build, and I've started building a team. I've just started talking to people. It's like, and one of your best sources for volunteers are the people who come to you for help.
Right.
Because they care.
They want to give back.
Right. I mean, 2 of the people that are going to be probably the most active in teaching people how to trap and getting the trapping done, all that stuff, they can't afford to do anything much more than just take care of their own animals and themselves, but they're the ones that are willing to put themselves out there. So, because one of the mistakes people make is, if somebody comes to you and they can't afford a voucher and you got to help them out, well, you really should just do what you can, let them go. It's like, no, they love and care. Their time is even more valuable than money.
Yeah. Chris, take us back to the point where, was it an event? Was it a particular animal? I mean, where did your passion for cats really come from? And when did this become your purpose?
It started, and then there's a long gap. When there's a picture of me, and I'm 4 years old, and I was sitting on a front porch, and there's a very, very large orange tomcat next to me. And I did not know this, because I didn't even remember it until the pictures were shown when I got older. The cat would sit next to me and I could pet him. I was the only person in the entire family that could even touch that cat.
Wow.
And I have no idea. It's like, okay, I'm going to sit next to you and you're okay. Nobody else, I will hurt you. And then you can fast forward lots of little things I was doing. And then I had a situation where I was living in an apartment complex where it's against the law, but they got away with it. They were doing away with the cats, but I found one kitten. My wife and I, she was just moving in. We moved from 2 different states to this apartment. She was just coming that day to sign all the paperwork. And she had to sign in 2 places and initial in 3 other places that we wouldn't have any pets.
Oh, God.
We stepped out the door, and I actually looked this up to see if I remember correctly. It was June 24th. and it's North Carolina. It was 103 degrees outside.
Oof.
And this gray kitten, I would say probably 10 weeks old, pops out of the shrubbery, rolls over on his back in front of us, and like, scoop. And we ended up with the two cats that we rescued that way. And, they eventually came to us and said, well, we're going to evict you. And it's like, well, being a school teacher in North Carolina is not a high paying job. I don't do that anymore. And I'd done something else paid much better before that. But let's just say my neighbors weren't necessarily the most reliable and less troubling people. So we said, so we're two school teachers. We pay our bills on time. The police never come to our apartment. You want to evict us? I don't think that's a good choice on your part.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
About this.
So now fast forward another 15 years, I moved to Chatham County. I'm out in the very most rural part. And there's a local gas station. And I started noticing all these cats there. So I started talking to people. And this is how I really got full scale into rescue. And there's like 5, 6, 7, 8 cats. So I started talking to the people that work at the gas station. Well, we feed them, but people, and they said, we'll see people drive up, put the cat out, and drive away.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I started trapping them in various ways. I got a big dog. I didn't know enough to get dog crates. I mean, to get traps. I didn't know what I was doing. So I got a great big dog crate, the old wire ones. And I opened it up and I got the cats to start coming into the dog crate. And they did really good. They would space themselves out. So it's like I'd have one at a time come and get something to eat most of the time.
Yeah.
And then I had a string and I would just pull the door closed. And then I'd get over there, get that all closed up, and then get them home.
Yeah.
And at that point, I just started bugging people to adopt them. And so get them spayed, get them neutered, get them adopted. Ultimately, I ended up doing it for about 38 cats over about a 10-year period.
Wow.
And I started interacting with CARE. And I'm like, well, there's a lot I don't know. I learned a lot. There's a lot I don't know. These folks have been doing this for years. I mean, CARE itself is 50 years old. So it's a well-established organization. And also, I learned this professionally. It's certainly true in this. I'm a lot more effective when I'm part of a group than I am all by myself. Sure. I can do a lot more. So that's why I decided to join CARE. And then I'd served on other nonprofit boards, and so they asked me to be on the board. But if you're interested, if you're a person who's interested in doing something like this, go volunteer. You can do this much just to find out what it's like. And that's what I did. Nobody taught me how to be a board member or anything else. I just, started small and got drawn in. So I'm not sure. I think I may have wandered off your question, but
oh, that's totally fine. I'm curious, now as a director at CARE, and how do you motivate your team? Because not every day is a good day. There's really tough days, and compassion fatigue's a real thing. So how do you keep your team motivated and keep them excited about what you're doing?
It can be really troubling. I mean, I was talking to somebody, this friend of mine doesn't do this, but just asked me how things were going. And this was on Wednesday. And then so I said, well, so far this week, we've had 4 ethical dilemmas. People will come to us with a situation. It's like, what you want us to do isn't the right thing to do, or the way you want to do it. Or like in this one situation, this woman has a cat. She wants the cat to have kittens. She wants us to take the kittens and find them homes. And then she wants us to spay that cat and then put her back outside with no shelter. It's like, and this woman doesn't have enough money to feed the cats. Like, so I have like 3 ethical dilemmas in one situation. And it's not just me. That's the whole point. We have a cat welfare committee. We don't make decisions by ourselves. That's one of the ways you can help with compassion fatigue, because if you have to do it yourself, I did that for a while, it's really hard. It's better to have somebody to talk to. The other thing is, I'll use this as an awesome example. So our chairperson for the committee rescued a black cat, that was dumped by Jordan Lake, the big reservoir not far from us, with some other cats. My theory is that someone dumped him there thinking that, hey, these other cats are here, it'll be fine. That's not the way that worked.
Yeah.
They started attacking him. He had wounds. He wasn't doing well. So Joan scooped him up and brought him to us. And we're like, well, our fosters are all full.
Mm.
We have an office. It's not staffed, just me come in and out. So I set up a care schedule. So twice a day, people came in, took care of them, spend time with them. And we got really lucky that our office is above a veterinary practice, and the practice manager's office is also on the second floor where we are. And he loves cats. And so he took, got a cat's name is Jet. He's a black cat named Jet. And he brought him into his office because we had a problem initially. Jet would attack you. He would grab you with his claws. Sometimes he'd bite you. But I quickly figured out, and other people agreed after I explained what I thought was going on, because there was a real concern. It's like, are we going to be able to take care of this guy? Is it going to be a problem? No. Jet was very people oriented, and he'd been abandoned. He'd attack you when he thought you were leaving him. And he wasn't trying to attack you. He was trying to keep you from getting away. So once we built that trust that we would keep coming back, and I'll have to give Scott credit. Scott says, well, what you do? Scott is an ultimate cat whisperer. I mean, I'm pretty good with cats, but he just blows me away. He says, well, I just go, pow, and I make this horrible face. And Jet would go, and then come up and bump me and say, yeah, a few times of that. And he stopped doing that because he didn't know what was going on. So the reason I'm telling the story is there were probably 10 or 15 people involved in taking care of him for 8 months before we finally found him a home. And he found a home, and the adopter has been kind enough to send us pictures. And when I'm feeling down, I circulate into every single person that took care of Jet. And we're going to write a book about him, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have some very creative people. And when they're having a bad day, they can look at, here's Jet. Here's Jet with his mom now sitting on her desk because she works from home. So he has a person. Here's Jet with the 19-year-old boy, his boy, holding him in their arms. Here's Jet with the 11-year-old girl who's homesick, and he's sitting on her chest, trying to make her feel better. And it's super essential that you grab onto the things because our brains are designed to keep track of bad things because that's how we evolved to survive.
Right.
So you got to consciously say, okay, Jet, I'm going to remember Jet. And other ones. I mean, I have other cats that I can think about. So that's one of the ways. And also sometimes it's okay to take a break.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things. It's like you feel like, well, if I don't do this, then nobody's going to help. Well, that's being part of a group that helps.
Right.
And we have to be careful with our fosters. So we'll come to them and say, does anybody take this cat? This is a situation. And they're like, I can take them. It's like, how many cats do you currently have?
Right. Let's not overwhelm you. Yeah. It's very easy because there's always another animal, right, in need of our help. And sometimes it's hard to focus on yourself and to step back and look at the forest through the trees and say, what's the real solution? Because you might have to miss one animal in lieu of saving many more, but it's the strategic thing to do.
Well, and it's that saying, you have to put your oxygen mask on first.
Right.
If you go down in flames, you can't help anybody. And
yeah, it's a really simple way to think about it, right? Compassion fatigue is a problem, and you've got to motivate, and you've got to have a set of people that you can rely on and vent to, and sometimes you just got to get up and go outside and walk away, right? Because the situation is something you didn't cause, but now you're in the middle of it, right? And it's hard to be able to separate yourself from that. So I think that's good advice. Put your own mask on first, and then you can deal with other people.
Yeah.
You're always gonna run into some of those kinds of things. I guess my question to you is, how has your perspective changed over the years, right? I mean, it feels like, everybody I've talked to, animal welfare has changed so much in the last 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, how has it changed for you, Chris?
so for me, there was so much I did not understand. So, and that's on several fronts. One, it's like rescue is awesome. We cannot rescue our way out of this problem. It is literally, physically, numerically, mathematically, whatever way you want to say it, impossible. Doesn't mean you don't do rescue and adoptions, but you're never going to, not only will you not catch up, you'll just keep getting literally further behind.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that at first. I had no idea. I didn't know how TNR worked. And I also see a shift in animal welfare overall, more towards the community cats are community cats. Not all cats want to live in a house.
Right.
And it's a balancing act because it's like my first instinct is like, well, this is a great cat. He needs to live in a house. Well, there's two problems with that. One, he may not agree. Three problems.
Right. You need his permission.
Two, you need to know who all owns him, who all is he important to? Because one of the things I never thought of, and it just broke my heart. It's like, well, fortunately, I didn't do this because they dumped him at the gas station. I'm pretty confident they weren't concerned about them. But if you scoop this cat up, you'll see ads all of a sudden, missing cat, missing cat. These people they think their cat's been killed or something. And no, it's some well-meaning person took off with this cat.
Yeah.
So it's like, I had to learn. You can't assume. I mean, one of the tricks that I learned, I think this was also from Community Cat Central, is the paper collar concept. So you take a paper collar and you write your information on it and say, hey, do you know this cat? And you put it on proviso, providing the cat will let you put it on.
Right.
There's that minor detail.
Yeah.
But that can be helpful. So not all cats need to be rescued. That was really important. And there was something else I was thinking of. There was three things. But really, animal welfare has shifted from community cats were strays or ferals. And I almost hate the word feral.
Yeah.
Because it actually only applies to a very small portion of cats. And unfortunately, if your cat gets lost, I had this experience. I have a specifically designed cat fence called Perfect Fence. Well, I didn't know if there was a hole in it, and one of my cats got out. And she'd only been with me for a couple of months, and I learned that when an cat is lost, they can flip into a semi-feral state. She wouldn't come to me; she would hide. I got a. There's a woman there's a bunch of people who do this. They have tracking dogs. Now, the dogs don't find the cat, but they tell you where the cat is.
Sure.
Ultimately, I searched for 18 days. I live on 10 acres of woods. I tromped through the woods. I laid bait trails. I did all the things that you know to do. She was underneath the storage shed that I can see from my office window that whole time. And she hadn't eaten for most of it. They'll hide for up to 14, 15, 16 days before they come out. And I had to set up a trap, and I learned all about how trapping. And so this is kind of how I started evolving into this. But in the past, people would find a cat and it seemed like it was feral. Well, it may actually have just been it may be somebody's pet that got out the door 3 days ago. And they're wild as could be. I mean, in 80's case, that's her name. I trapped her, brought her in the house, opened it up. She came out, looked at me and says, oh, I'm home.
Yeah.
And she was stopped.
Perfect. Back to normal. I love that.
So, I mean, that to me is a big switch. It's like not all stray cats are stray.
Yeah.
Very few cats are actually feral. Also, more emphasis on socialization. That's a big shift. So not just socialization of kittens, but a lot of times, if you find a cat, I mean, Jet's an example. If we hadn't decided to socialize him, the assumption would have been if he'd gone to shelter by their own protocol, they would have had to have euthanized him. Not that they wanted to, but it's like, oh, this cat bites people, so that's the rules. Well,
right. No, and some of that is hard to change, right? It's been done that way for many, many decades. So trying to get these programs in place, and what's changed, right? In 2026, we're much more community oriented. We have other solutions for solving some of these problems, but at the end of the day, there's still procedures that have to be followed. So it totally makes sense.
well, and to be fair to the shelter,
Hmm?
they don't have the resources. They can't keep a Jet and try to socialize him, because this is what I try to explain to people when they want their cat to have kittens and they want us to take the kittens. It's like, if I take your kittens, then 4 other kittens aren't going to make it, because I don't have a shortage of kittens that need to be saved.
Yeah.
You need to save these kittens. They're your kittens. And that's the shelter gets stuck with that all the time. It's like, oh, my wife did stuff at a shelter one time. It was a private shelter, and someone brought a dog in because it was a lab. It didn't match the couch anymore.
God, are you kidding me?
You know,
Well, I would say get a new damn couch.
it's like, actually, I would suggest that you're the one that needs to be surrendered and your dog should go home.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, my wife laughs at me because sometimes I'll go to sit on the couch and the cat will be there, and I'll sit next to her. And she said, "Just
Mhm.
move her." I'm like, "She
Well,
was there first, and she's all snuggled in, and
yeah.
sometimes I will, but not every time." So I know.
Katie, that cat, she likes to sit on the chair that I sit at to eat. She doesn't necessarily want my food. She just likes to sit that spot because she can see, and I guess because it's my chair. I'll leave her there, and eventually it's like, well, I'll just sit where Susan so she can stay in the chair.
Yeah, exactly. So, Chris, we're coming to the end of this, and we're going to end with our lightning round where we get to ask you questions and learn a little bit more about you. So, you ready? I mean, I think I know the answer to this first one, but which do you prefer more, puppy breath or kitten purrs?
Kittens are my favorite, although I do have a very big soft spot for dogs.
Okay, that's fair. You're equal. I'm the same way, right? I love them both. They all have their unique things. Are you more of a early bird or a late night owl?
Late night.
Okay. What do you like to do to decompress after a hard day at the shelter?
So typically for me, I like to read. I'm a big fan of reading. I've been all my life. Um, I may take a walk. Walking can really be super helpful. So
Yeah,
it's that kind of stuff.
just to get
I'll
out of
usually
the
just kind of distract myself.
Sure.
But
If your pets were to write a Yelp review about you, how many stars do you think you'd get?
I'd probably at best get four because I don't always give them what they want.
Okay, so not a perfect review, right? It's there's
No, no. See, he could give more churu. He he doesn't always immediately leap up and let us in the room.
right, right. There's some criticism there. I mean, this is
Every once in a while, he stuffs us in a box and takes us to the vet. That's just unacceptable.
yeah, we don't like that part either. And my last question, Chris, is what do you want your legacy to be?
What I would really like to do, and this is my goal, is I want to be the spark that starts the community cat program here. I'm not going to be the community cat program. That's a large group effort. But if someone doesn't take the first step and lay out a map and start figuring out how it's going to happen and draw people to it, it'll never happen. So I want my legacy to be when I'm when I finally can't do anything anymore, that there's already a vibrant active community cat program, and we don't have to worry about community cats in Chatham County anymore.
I love that. That is a great vision, and I have no doubt that you're going to be able to accomplish that. You've got the right attitude, you understand the impact on the community, and you've got the right leadership for it. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. There's one more thing I want to say. The reason I think I'll be successful is because there are so many people out there that have already done it that share that information. So if you want to do this, I'm talking to your audience, if you want to do something like this, you're not by yourself.
Right.
People will share what they've done. I mean, I now have somewhere around half a gig of files and stuff of things that people have given me to sort through and figure out what pieces I actually want to use. But why reinvent it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a vibrant community, and there's always people out there willing to share, willing to educate, willing to mentor, willing to help you out in any way. We're all united in a common purpose to help animals.
Yeah.
So, well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate it, and I'm really excited to see how your legacy is going to unfold.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much for having me on. And I'm really excited to see how your products are developing. I'm gonna put a little plug in there for that because I'm amazed. So we'll see.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.